Hi, and welcome to Genealogy Coffee Break, brought to you by us, the librarians at the Center for Jewish History. My name is Moria Amit, and I'm here with my colleagues from the Center's Genealogy Institute and Reading Room. Today, we'll teach you about online resources for exploring your Jewish genealogy in Latin America. During today's episode, feel free to send us your questions via the comments box and we'll answer them live. If we don't get to your question, or you're not watching live, you can always email your questions to us at gi@cjh.org. You may watch today's episode immediately after it airs, as well as all of our previous episodes at cjh.org/genealogy coffee break. Did you know that we offer free group Zoom workshops or one-on-one sessions? Group workshops are free for nonprofit organizations, religious organizations, and schools, and your group does not have to be Jewish. Topics range from online genealogy basics to preserving your family photos and documents. For Jewish groups, workshops can be tailored to specific regions of the diaspora, including Ashkenazi, Sephardi, and Mizrahi communities. Email gi@cjh.org to schedule your group workshop or video chat with a librarian. Today, I will be covering 4 starting points: Jewish Gen's Crypto-Jewish database, immigration record databases, which will be listed on a succeeding slide, Jewish Gen's online worldwide burial database, and Jewish history institutions in Argentina, Brazil, and Mexico. The Inquisition in Spain and Portugal, culminating in the expulsion of Jews from these kingdoms in 1492 and 1497 respectively, forced their Jewish populations to either convert to Catholicism or to flee to other parts of Europe. Many of these refugees or these descendants, commonly referred to as crypto-Jews today, relocated to the New World over the course of the 1500s and 1600s, lured by economic opportunities and the potential for increased anonymity. For those who settled in Spanish or Portuguese colonies, their freedom from persecution was short-lived. The Portuguese Inquisition was extended to its colonies in 1536, and the Spanish Inquisition was extended to its colonies in 1570. Despite the fact that the Spanish and Portuguese colonies of Jewish origin did not identify as Jewish, and at least in public had been practicing Catholicism for decades, several hundred were prosecuted and dozens were executed as, quote, Judaizers, in other words, as Jews. Jewish Gen's Jeannie Milgram Crypto-Jewish Collection allows you to search by an individual's name or family surname through thousands of records of crypto-Jews in Spain, Portugal, and their respective colonies. Sadly, the vast majority of these records come from the aforementioned Inquisition trials of suspected Jews, including over 2,600 from Mexico and over 500 each from Colombia and Peru. As an example, I did a search for a Francisco Rodriguez and came across this record here, where you see another name that he went by, Francisco Nunez, and information about his Inquisition trial, but you also see the name of his wife and where he had come from before settling in Mexico. So this can be, as you can see, a great resource for genealogists. Moving on to the next waves of Jewish immigration to Latin America. Jewish immigration to Latin America resumed on a relatively small scale in the late 1800s. Among these were Eastern European Jewish farmers who had been recruited by the Jewish Colonization Association to work in agricultural colonies in rural areas of Argentina and Brazil. While the U.S. was enacting increasingly stringent immigration quotas in the early 1920s, most Latin American nations were relatively open to new immigrants, including Jewish ones, throughout the 20s and early 30s. It is in this period that Jewish immigration to Latin America grew exponentially, with over 10,000 Jews arriving each year, including Ashkenazi Jews from Eastern Europe, Sephardi Jews from Mediterranean Europe, and Mizrahi Jews predominantly from Syria. Newly arrived immigrants in the 20s and 30s were much more likely to come from market towns or cities with skills better suited to urban life. which resulted in the explosion of Jewish communities in Latin America's largest cities and the decline of the Jewish agricultural colonies. From the mid to late 1930s, most Latin American countries in turn began enacting increasingly stringent immigration laws. However, tens of thousands of German-speaking Jews fleeing the rise of the Nazi Party in Germany and Austria still managed to find a safe haven in Latin America and added to the diversity of the Jewish communities there. So how and when did your family arrive in Latin America? There is no single database to search for a record of your family's arrival in Latin America in the 1800s or 1900s. If your family was among those recruited by the Jewish Colonization Association to settle in a Jewish agricultural colony in Argentina or Brazil, I would recommend searching Jewish Gen's Latin American database. Otherwise, I've provided here a list of databases containing arrival records from each of the 3 Latin American countries that received the largest numbers of Jewish immigrants in this period: Argentina, Brazil, and Mexico. For the Brazilian immigration registration cards, please note that Ancestry.com is not a free database. However, you may check with your public library to see if they are currently providing free access to Ancestry.com from home using your library card. Interested in learning more about both your immigrant ancestors and their descendants in Latin America? Try searching for your family's gravestones. Jewish Gen's online worldwide burial registry project has compiled the most comprehensive database of its kind, including information gathered from over 250,000 Jewish gravestones in Argentina alone, as well as from tens of thousands of gravestones from across the rest of Latin America. Jewish gravestones in Latin America are an especially valuable source for genealogists because, in addition to the typical facts, such as the person's date of death, they sometimes also provide the person's place of birth and their mother's first and maiden name. To round out today's presentation, I'll now take a brief look at online genealogical resources specific to the 3 nations with the largest Jewish populations in Latin America today, beginning with Argentina. So for Argentina, there are 2 major organizations that have information or records pertaining to Jewish genealogy. The first is the Jewish Genealogical Society of Argentina, and for this and the succeeding slides, I will be mentioning all of the institutions in English, although you can see their Spanish or Portuguese title on the slides. So the Jewish Genealogical Society of Argentina has a number of internal databases, including marriage records, Jewish Colonization Association settlement records, and the 1960 Jewish Community Directory. You may email consultations.agja@gmail.com to request for a search for individuals in these databases. YIVO's Argentina branch is currently digitizing thousands of documents and newspapers from the Eastern European Jewish community in Argentina. While this is not yet available online, please stay tuned for future developments. Moving on to Brazil, the Documentation and Memorial Center of the Jewish Museum of Sao Paulo allows you to search a small portion of its museum and archive collections on its website, such as the ID card that you see in the upper right corner here. Additional community documents, photos, and newspapers and books are only available on-site. And finally, Mexico. The Center for the Documentation and Study of the Jews of Mexico has one publicly accessible online database of immigrant registration cards, like the one you see in the upper right corner. For other databases, you can email genealogia@cdijum.mx to request a search for individuals in records like birth, bar and bat mitzvah, marriage and death records, as well as business and organization records. Additional community documents, photos, newspapers, and books are only available on site. If you have questions, you may write to us now via the comments box. If we don't get to your question during this episode, we will respond to you by private message. Or, if you're not watching live, please feel free to email us your questions at gi@cjh.org. For updates on this and other Center for Jewish History programs, please join our email list at bit.ly/CJHE-news. Thank you for watching and participating. If you enjoyed this program, we hope you will consider making a small donation at cjh.org/donate now. Your donations allow us to put on programs like this while the center is closed. Thank you for your generosity. We look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the next episode of Genealogy Coffee Break. Until then, good luck in your search and enjoy your week.